Thanks for joining us for today's episode of GirlExec. I'm Kristy and I'm here with my beautiful friend Isha. Today we are here to share tips on becoming an intrapreneur, the entrepreneur within an established organization.
So let's talk some more about what the intrapreneur is. In a recent article by Innovation Training, they posed this question. What does the PlayStation, Gmail, and the iPod all have in common? Of course, these are things that change all of our lives. But the author went on to point out that these products aren't the result of entrepreneurship at its finest. They're the result of intrapreneurship. Just like entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs are people who make our world a little brighter through the process of understanding and creating things to improve our lives and to improve the businesses that they're in. But they do it within their current company or organization. I worked as a director of innovation in my company for many years with a dedicated responsibility to create. But I can tell you that anyone in any role can shine as the intrapreneur of their team. It's about having that spirit and that eye to look out for new opportunities. And of course, for our companies to give us the time and the resource and even the rewards to behave in this way.
Mm-hmm. And in their articles, what is an intrapreneur and why does everyone want to hire them right now? The Muse shared the characteristics you can instantly spot in an intrapreneur. And as we share these, I would ask you, can people see these in you? The first one is they're authentic. An entrepreneur's greatest trait is being consistently humble and sincere. And this makes them experts in establishing trust and becoming highly respected and liked throughout a company. The second is they're savvy collaborators. Everyone knows someone who could pick up the phone to ask for a favor or information and get an immediate response. That's the classic intrapreneur move, a master of building relationships. They never run out of people who, to contact who are willing to help them because they do the same in return. Next, they're highly confident. I mean, it takes a certain level of confidence to express creative ideas and proactively start the project. Entrepreneurs are risk takers, so they trust their actions and aren't afraid to try something different or to learn from trial and error.
The next piece is they stick with it because let's be honest, finding solutions to problems that your company or people may not even know that they have is not easy. So that intrapreneur is someone who has the mental toughness to face those new challenges and to work through ambiguity as they try to achieve new things, and sometimes things never even thought of before. And I'll add one more from my personal experience. I think that intrapreneurs prioritize learning. To be that effective intrapreneur, you have to stay up to date on relevant developments or trends that are happening, what people need, what leading companies are doing, just as examples. So that learning must be a constant for all of us to stay relevant, but particularly for that girl exec who wants to clearly establish herself as the expert on all things coming soon, as the intrapreneur of the group.
So you may say, okay, I have a great job. I am very clear on what it is I need to do to be successful. Why do I want to focus on being an intrapreneur? You know, on one side of it, I would say it's fun. Those who are calculated risk takers, you get to test out your ideas with the security of a salary and benefits. Yet, I would say in your career, you also become very valuable to your company. You take extreme ownership. I mean, as I walk through this, I took extreme ownership of the work. And you're constantly thinking about how you can improve or do something in a new or innovative way to serve the needs of your internal stakeholders or external customers. And one thing that comes to mind is early on in my career, I had a great opportunity. I was recruited to a newly formed and funded department of 5. And our task from the president of the company was to create a talent development and mobility program. In doing that, yes, we had toll gates and feedback we had to receive from the president, the CEO, and other senior stakeholders. But at the end of the day, we were really empowered and had that creative liberty to do the research and best practices and design what we believed would accelerate the development and promotion of high potential talent. And, you know, we worked hard. We had fun. There were some long hours. But at the end of the day, it was one of the biggest times of growth and development for me on so many levels and in so many ways. And as a payoff for the organization, I mean, they believed in it. It grew to a $7.8 million program, but they also believed in it and benefited from it because some of the people who were hired and developed into that program are now some of our most senior ranking people within the organization.
We all want to create something new and to see it still living on years later. That's a legacy. So the question is, how can we get into this entrepreneurial spirit? Later in the Muse article, they share a couple points on how to do this. The first is something we mentioned in many episodes. Ask rich questions. Whether you're trying to figure out why the company does something a certain way, why your customers like or dislike what you currently have, stick with those questions around what, why, and how. Sometimes we feel like those questions take time and we may not want to ask them, but your questions matter because that gives you the deep understanding that you need to make richer solutions for people. Be proactive, always. Instead of waiting for someone to tell you what to do or what's needed, bring your ideas to the team. Bring those things that you've learned along the way as to why you think something is the right solution. It may not be the first time, but you do that a few times and you're going to find something that you can rally people around. And lastly, I would say stay flexible and open to change. People always tell you in your career, have your objectives, stay the course, don't give up too soon. But timing is everything when we're talking about innovation. So sometimes things come up that you have to jump on fast to maximize the opportunity. So stay flexible. As you see things that are opportunities, you have the courage to be the one at times to propose that to your team, to bring it to the attention of your manager so that the opportunity does not pass you by.
And Isha, you really spoke to the next point that they mentioned, which is really challenging the status quo. The only thing I would add to that is, if you're tentative in doing it, start out within your role. If you have a process and or service that you're leading, test out some new ideas within the boundaries of the work that you do today, and then show what the results were to your team and to your boss, and then take and rinse and repeat that process of challenging the status quo. And lastly, I would say, track your accomplishments. Keep track of your own accomplishments throughout the year so you can show exactly what projects you spearheaded should you ever need to. And the thing here is, you're always going to have your responsibilities that you're tracking performance against. But in the case of an entrepreneur, you're often recommending things that are new that aren't documented anywhere in your performance objectives. So you have these newly added responsibilities and you want to show how you've accelerated. So make sure you track things so you can tell your story.
So the bottom line is, entrepreneurs provide immense value to their organizations. They're often that heartbeat of innovation and growth. So you have a decision to make, as do we. Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Whether it's creating the new iPod or, as Kristy said, just creating a better way to do things on your team, we encourage you to go for it. Thank you for joining us. Please share this episode with other young professionals who want to make their mark as they start their careers. And as always, please subscribe to GirlExec for conversations to enrich your career and life.